Hello, this is Hooked by Happenstance. I'm Kendra, and I have not seen you all since February. This is a bit of an update video. If the camera quality is different, it's because I am filming on my laptop because I have it set up right now because I was filming for something else. The update is going to cover where I've been, where I am, and where I'm going forward, I guess. So, first things first, yes, I cut my hair. It's still purple, mostly. It's also gray, but I already knew that, and that's not why I dyed my hair anyways. But it is purple. It needs to be re-dyed again. I like it. Please, in the comments, don't just comment on my hair because I'm about to talk about a bunch of stuff. And when I talk about a bunch of stuff, especially emotional stuff, and then all people do is comment on my physical appearance, it tends to make me feel like I'm not being heard. So, just be forewarned. So, where have I been? In February, well, for a very long time, my mental health has been doing the roller coaster-y thing. The way I have explained it to some people before is it feels like falling down a well. Like, happily, I'm going along, things are great, and then, like, there's this big, like, sinkhole, and I will just, like, fall in, and you never know how deep it's going to be. Sometimes it's fairly shallow, and you can just, like, crawl up the little damp sides. But then sometimes I think I'm on my way up, and then I slide back down, and then it just goes up and down and up and down. And it's a lot of effort, both directions. But in February, my mental health took like a big dive, fell down a big, deep, like mucky hole that there was just no crawling out of. I think I mentioned in my last video, I had started going to therapy in November, and that has been incredibly helpful. Finding a good therapist who you feel like holds space for you and is understanding and allows you to like explore things without them being judgmental is, I think, a critical part of mental health. And I wish that I'd done it long before. Though, obviously, who knows what situations would be like if I had. But I was going to therapy, and that was still helping, but I kept, like, making strides forwards, and then it would slide back, and it was like that whole falling down a well thing. And that was kind of happening. And then on top of that, did you know there's a global pandemic? Just in case you were curious. Yeah. So that all happened, and then periods of time happened, and then there's been a lot of upheaval, a lot of racial tensions in the world, a lot of dealing with governmental problems in lots of places in the world. If you're at all like aware of what goes on, then you know all those outside things. So what happened is I was having this like mental health issue personally, and then the world collapsed on top of my like personal world feeling like it was collapsing. So that's where I was at. Since then, because I had a good therapist, her and her colleagues also got me in contact with good medical professionals. So any of you that have been around for a very long time know that previously, to like deal with anxiety symptoms and stuff, I had been getting acupuncture, and that was helpful actually for like a couple of years, I think. And then it quit being as beneficial as it had been. I had taken like CBD oil for my anxiety, also helpful, but never able to like bring my standard of life to where I wanted it to be. Well, from all outside appearances, I was probably fairly functional as a human. Internally, I was not, and externally, I was not doing the things that I wanted to be doing and like meeting the expectations I had for myself. I know lots of people look at depression and are like, it means you can't get out of bed in the morning. It means you cry all the time. Well, for some people, that is true. I could get up in the morning physically, but then I might not move from the place that I was sat for the rest of the day. Even if I was doing other things, I might not be able to like physically make myself do the things. Or even if I was physically doing the things, was I mentally present? It depends. So that was kind of how that all played out. And then as far as like crying all the time, well, it doesn't mean you have to cry all the time. You can just feel like you want to cry all the time, and it can be equally bad. Things that I did not realize were things that should have been as concerning as they were occurring. So I did not find this out till I got proper medical help with doctors and therapists and psychiatrists who actually I felt like had my best interest at heart, because these issues of mine are not like super new. They've just been exacerbated by the last, I don't know, several years of my life. But the doctors I had previously, when I would bring it up to them, they would either just immediately, after like a 5-minute visit, like just a general, like physical, so not even about my mental health, their immediate, if I brought it up, they would just go like, oh, here, let me write you a prescription. And I was like, for what? Not like what medication, what do you think is wrong with me? And they could not really give me a diagnosis, they just wanted to give me a prescription. And so I asked several doctors over time. I think the first time I talked to a doctor was in like 2004, and they told me it was a vitamin deficiency. And then I talked to another doctor in 2006 or 2007, who just disregarded it. And it just, I did not advocate for myself the way I should have. But it's funny, when you're dealing with depression symptoms, you are at the point where you most need advocacy, but you are least able to advocate for yourself. And given the fact that I also have lots of anxiety issues, being told that my opinions were not valid by like doctors and things did not help me to want to seek help. Again, I'm not mentioning any of this because like I want pity or I want to be like, oh, my life is so sad. Mostly, I'm just bringing it up because I have found it useful when I have seen videos from other people who I have watched over time, sometimes had felt like we had things in common, and when they would explain what had happened in their mental health struggles, it like slowly helped me to realize the validity of my own. So hopefully sharing my experiences will help somebody else. And I'm sure there are plenty of people who will turn things around and be like, well, you should be more grateful, or I have it worse than you. And that's fine, if you feel that way. But everybody experiences physical, emotional, mental pain at a different level. And it's interesting, in humans, one of the only sensations we cannot describe without using metaphors is pain, because everybody's sense of pain is different. So when you try to tell somebody like how bad a bee stings, you're going to say it feels like something else. You're going to use a metaphor or a simile to explain how it feels. So nobody can ever truly understand your pain, and you can never truly understand somebody else's, but you can definitely try and be empathetic, I think. So I got a good doctor, recommended through my therapist and stuff, and they are the best medical service I've ever had. I've had doctor's appointments where I, both physically and on telehealth, because telehealth is a thing now, which is awesome. I have had doctor's appointments where I would spend like the entire visit, like 30, 45 minutes in a room talking to a doctor, not mostly talking to a nurse. Nurse does intake paper, and then I'm with the doctor the rest of the time. I have never had that experience, and I have never felt like I've been rushed out the door when I've been there for appointments or anything. And so through that doctor, who I felt understood my situation, had been in contact with my therapist, all the things, I eventually was put on some medications, which I felt comfortable with and continue to feel comfortable with, because I feel like I'm dealing with people who have taken the time to understand what my personal issues are and are doing their best to help make my quality of life better. So that is where I've been at, and that has still been a process because once you start medication, it doesn't take effect immediately, and there's the process of finding the right ones and what everything is kind of working out symptom-wise and getting the best results. And then from there, you have to figure out your life from the bottom of that well and slowly build things back up. I especially tried not to do my usual thing, which is jumping in to too many things right away and basically being a self-fulfilling prophecy of failure, because that just makes me feel bad, and I don't need more things to make me feel bad. I can make myself feel bad enough. So I basically, when all of this stuff started happening, I stopped everything. I didn't make videos, I didn't check my shop, I didn't do anything other than exist. I was still doing all the things I needed to do with my kids for school. I was still doing the minimum things I needed to do in our life, but there was nothing extra. I had no extra energy. I had no extra anything, and I wasn't really enjoying any of the things that I had previously enjoyed, which many of you will know is also a sign of depression. And I didn't want to go anywhere. Anxiety. So I have slowly, slower than I ever have, been adding things back into my life. So where I am now is much better. Canning season has arrived. I have not had anything go bad this year because I'm actually able to make things happen on the timetable that I want them to, instead of thinking wow, I would really like to get these things done, or I'm going to want these results in the winter. I'm able to make them happen, which is a really nice feeling, to feel like I'm accomplishing goals that I had. It was getting very difficult for me to vlog, because part of the reason I had started vlogging was to promote the idea that I had, and that I fully believe in, on having a handmade home life, that the things in your life are best done yourself. Being self-sustaining is important to me. Having the skills to do so many things by myself is a point of pride and importance for me. But I had gotten to the point where I just didn't have anything to get those things done. And so it was deeply shameful for me. And then I felt guilty because I wasn't providing what I felt like I had said I would provide. I don't know if I've made this before, the difference between shame and guilt. So, shame means I am bad, just generally. Guilt is I did a bad, I did a thing and I feel bad about the thing. And shame is, well, I'm just a bad person overall. So, both of those, big things in my world. So I have slowly been adding things back in. We have started our school year. We are now, all three of my kids are fully in big kid school, because everybody reads and does the things, and it's just a much more intense environment around here, but I think we're all enjoying the process. And then an additional fun fact is I have decided to go back to college. I decided this in the middle of August, I think, the beginning of August, middle of July, I don't know, not very long ago. The story behind it is we had been watching Diary of a Future President on Disney Plus, which, by the way, if you have not watched it, highly recommend. It is such a good show, just all around, so good. It's great to watch with the kids. I would watch it again by myself, great show. So, there is an episode in that where they are talking about what your raison is, meaning your reason, but they keep calling it your raisin. So what's your raisin? So my family's been having discussions about what's everybody's raisin. And everybody had a thing, and I did not have a raisin. I mean, frankly, I don't like raisins, so that kept bothering me, but I didn't have a reason. we could kind of get behind like creative things, but even that didn't feel like deep enough. Like, I agreed with it, and it's something that I love and enjoy and I'm passionate about, but it didn't feel like the thing. Like, I love my family and I love being involved, but like, I don't think it's healthy to have like your children be everything, because someday you would like them to be independent and then you're left with nothing. So, I was just like thinking over this, having a little existential crisis, And one day it occurred to me what I wanted to do. In the process of going to therapy, I think that I would be a very good therapist, which I recognize to some people sounds hypocritical, maybe? I talked to my therapist about, I was like, I don't want to tell people that I want to become a therapist because does it sound bad if they know my situation? But then I realized that the therapists I know who have had mental health issues, which by the way, is most of them. The reason people get into therapy? Usually because they had an interaction that was meaningful to them. So, I decided that I am going back to school to get my BSWs, my bachelor's in social work. I'm doing it completely online through a school in Nebraska. So it's all online. Even though I live in Kansas, there were no Kansas schools that had the program I wanted. So I'm doing everything online. And then when I'm done with my bachelor's, I'm going to get my master's. And again, an online program in Nebraska that I can get into. And then hopefully I will be licensed as a clinical social worker in the state of Kansas. And then I can go into private or semi-private practice, hopefully in therapy, and I'm thinking with a slant toward art and writing therapies and also mindfulness, because mindfulness has been a key to my well-being and my self-care routine. I hate the term self-care because I have so many negative associations, but I came upon the wording the other day of, instead of being self-centered, you're being self-centering, which is like my new concept that I'm trying to look at, is the things that I am doing are to be self-centering, because if I can center and balance myself, then I can be that support for the other people in my lives. But in my life. But if I am off balance and don't have that foundation, then I can't provide that structure and stuff that I would like to provide. So, I'm working on being self-centering. I am working on, now that I am feeling more myself than I have felt in maybe 15 years, which is stupid because I'm 35. But yeah, I'm feeling really capable right now, which is nice. I started school, one batch of my classes started a week and a half ago, and the other one, or 2.5 weeks ago. End of August, last 2 weeks. So, I have been back being a college student, and it's going really well, and I am enjoying it, and I am taking a very full course load. I'm taking, 16 units right now, and at the back half of the semester, I'm going to be taking 19, which is not, crazy for me. I took 18 to 21 units most of the time when I was younger. Now, I didn't have kids and a family and all, hashtag adulting. But then I was always doing, very large time commitment campus jobs and things. So, I think things will be okay. My family is super supportive of my choice. The kids are really excited that mom is going to school too. It's all good things. And it has me, kind of remotivated and reinvigorated for that part of my life. What have I been doing creatively? I have not crocheted in weeks, I think. I went through a phase where I crocheted a lot. I made like 4 large Afghans, like, you know, the Tides of Change one that I did, they were all like that style, intricate, large, in the course of like 2 weeks. Um, but I have since, feeling a lot better, been crocheting a lot less. I've realized that crochet was a major coping mechanism for me. I think I have mentioned before that I think on the Fat Squirrel, she mentioned it once, the idea of she knits because then, like, the voice in her head is busy counting. That frequently I would crochet because then at least one of the voices in my head was busy counting. So she couldn't be being mean. And then, like, the other one, I'd, like, watch something or listen to something and they'd all be busy. But my brain has calmed down a lot and it has become a much more pleasant place to be, which is really, really nice. I had gone to, I think I mentioned it, I went to a writing retreat in January in Ohio, and it was for a concept called proprioceptive writing, which I really, really like and would hopefully at some point probably like to get certified to teach myself. But the whole process was just really like good and fulfilling for me. It was like the right thing at the right time. And the leader of the class at the end, when we were leaving and kind of talking, she made some comment about how, like, I had learned or grown a lot in the weekend. And I said, yeah, something about, like, the voice in my head being mean to me. And she was saying, if you just listen to it, I think that you and her will be really good friends. And I am becoming better and better friends with myself. That whole self-centering thing, right? So, yeah, working on those things. I've been doing lots of other artistic things. I have spent much time over the last several months painting. I've done lots of watercolor painting. I got really into painting with acrylics, made some really cool things. And then I have a couple of sketchbooks that are just completely full of doodles, like adult coloring book style things that I made, that got progressively more intricate as I've practiced. In part, like with drawing, as a kid, I was determined to be a smart kid, not an artistic kid. And so, like, I felt like, looking back, that teachers were always discouraging me from, like, you're not a person that can draw. You're not a person who this or that. And, like, I'm realizing as an adult, yeah, maybe I can. Maybe it doesn't look like everybody else thinks it, you know, would be best for it to look. Maybe it doesn't look like that on my first try, but I don't understand telling kids that they should not be putting their efforts in something that seems mildly entertaining to them. Because if they work at it a little, maybe it will become a skill. Just telling people they're not good at a thing is not beneficial. So I've just been doing a lot of those sorts of things. I got a tablet to read my school books. School books are all ebooks now? I'm an old. All online classes and books are all in electronic format. It's a different world than it was last time I did school. Very different. Good in some ways, but very different. And I'm somebody who generally can figure out technology. I can't imagine if you're not somebody who feels technologically savvy. It is also interesting and I think beneficial that I have filmed myself so much and I'm comfortable talking to a you who is not physically here. It's been beneficial for me for having online therapy appointments, it's beneficial for having online doctor's appointments, and now it's really beneficial because filming videos for classes bothers me not at all, which I think is interesting because watching some people, it's a thing that they're not comfortable with. And hopefully that would be a thing that will be beneficial in my future career as well. Being comfortable talking to people via video means is not something that all professional therapists are comfortable doing, really, and I am. So I think that will be a help for me long term. What else was I going to say? Oh, I got a tablet for school to read so I can work on my computer and read my book at the same time. And I have started doing lots of digital drawing on that because I got one that had like a stylus because of highlighting things in the books. Well, I also found that I really enjoy digital drawing. So I've been doing like lots of color studies and things on that. And I've been starting to play around with like actual drawing in it. And that's really like fun. I have a few things that are on my hook that are going to continue to get love when they get love. But gosh, it's hot right now. I hope it hasn't bothered you. I've had the fan on the whole time because otherwise I'd be melting, and you don't want to watch me melt. But you might be able to hear it. And since right now I'm mostly making blankets, and I'm mostly making blankets from other people's patterns, which is so out of the norm for me. But they're big and they're hot, and I'm not in the mood for that right now. And I've also, nothing is really calling to me that like I need to make, which until things do, which will probably be when it gets cold, or right in the midst of like a bunch of papers being due. That's what'll happen. I'll have so much stuff on my plate, and then I'll be like, ooh, have to make all the things. But anyways, that's where I've been, where I am, and then where I think I'm going. As far as the future of my channels, I'm not going to daily vlog anymore, and those videos will probably become privated and disappear over time because given my future job prospects, those aren't necessarily things I need out in the world. And then the channel here will remain. I would like to continue to post content. I just don't know how much or like what y'all are interested in seeing. If it's just yarny stuff, it's probably going to be at a slower pace. If it's other things, maybe it'll be more often. I don't know. As far as my Patreon goes, I've put it on pause. I should have done that a long time ago when everything just like went downhill. Like I said, I just stopped everything. I stopped checking my work email, all the things. So I put that on pause. Anybody that's been patroned, I refunded July and August payments. Nothing for September will go through. I'm sorry, I would have refunded further, but that is as far back as Patreon will let me refund. I had been working on some surprises when I was having a random like super up time before everything happened, and then I just never got them in the mail. So in the next week or two, people that have been patrons should expect a bit of joy to arrive in their mailboxes. And what else? I think that's everything. Again, I apologize that I just disappeared, especially to people who are patrons. Having support financially and support creatively from everybody has been really great. I have gotten some very nice messages. I appreciate that no one sent me any mean messages that I've seen in the last few months. I've gotten some emails that were like super kind and supportive. I just hadn't been in a place to sit down and do this video. I've thought this video through in my head for months, many, many times, and then it would just cause me too much distress. But like today I'm feeling okay. So here it is. Also, I have stopped using Instagram. My Instagram is still up. But I found that I had, again, it had become a weird coping strategy. And you might consider, is this a thing for you? I realized that, like, it was a good way for my mind to just the endless scroll or, like, to check it and, like, you know, the little hit of dopamine that it gives you. And then I needed to download an app for something, like, specific that I had to download. And in doing that, I didn't have room on my phone. So I had to delete things, and finally I had to delete Instagram to make it happy and have enough space to do what I needed to do. And then I did the stuff I needed, and I could have deleted everything and put Instagram back on, but I didn't. And I went like a week, and it was fine. I went another week, and it was fine. And then I realized that I had been using it in a way that was unhealthy. So I've just stopped using Instagram. And there are parts of it that, like, I miss, and I feel like I'm out of the loop, and that, like, I don't know. There's parts of it that I miss. But for the most part, It is not harming my life. If anything, it is helping it. So, might I suggest that you delete Instagram and instead put your ebook, like your library's ebook reader, on the homepage of your phone. And if you need something to look at, read a book. That has been a thing that I have found to be beneficial. If I want to just like click on something, I can read that. Or I can go read articles from news sources. What? I know. So, those things are all out there. I think that's everything. If you have any questions, let me know. Oh, one more thing. I also canceled my P.O. box as a means to save money because, hello, those e-textbooks do not come for free. So I'm trying to scrimp here and there to help cover the expenses of my my education. But if you have interest in like pen paling or swapping postcards or anything, let me know and we can coordinate. But if you have my previous P.O. box, it no longer exists. I think that's everything for like the 5th time. Thank you all for making it. I think this is like over a half an hour of me babbling, but I had a lot to catch up on. That's, you know, many months worth of information in only 30 minutes, which is pretty short for me because I can go on a lot longer than that. Okay, I do not know when I will see you again. I will make 0 promises on when it will be, but next time I will have something I have creatively made to show you. I can promise you that. Let me know too if you're like interested in seeing like drawings and digital art and paintings and all that stuff, or if you just want to see crochet, because I can make whatever happen. Yeah, but I'm not considering any of it work right now. It's all just fun when it is. Currently, my jobs are to be a homeschooler and be a student, so I have like 2 full-time plus jobs. Anyways, I hope that you all are doing well. If you are not, check in with yourself and hopefully you can find some supportive people in your life to help you be doing better, because you deserve it. Don't forget that. Yeah, and I will see you all next time. Bye.